it's with great humility that I accept the invitation to read that on behalf of Amanda and Tommy and Sarah and Joseph. Our darling boy, your mum, dad, brother and Sarah want to write you a note to say goodbye. You were born on a Thursday night at 11:47 p.m. on the 7th of March in 2002 at the maternity hospital in Glasgow, right on time. We adored you from the moment you came into our lives, and at times a little bit lost at what to do with our little bundle of joy, who grew into the beautiful big man that we all loved. When you came home in Glasgow, you were our everything. You had a cheeky wee grin, and we remember cuddling you and singing to you up in your room at night to get you to sleep. An avid reader, you loved your noddy books, your teddy bears, your little lion, and the red-topped car your Aunt Catherine and Uncle David gave you. People would stop us in the street to mention how beautiful you were with your lovely red hair and twinkling, shining blue eyes. When we took you to Italy and visited Pisa, a bus full of Chinese tourists got off their bus, completely ignored the Leaning Tower and all the wonders of Piazza del Miccaroli, and came over and they asked if they could have a group photo with our beautiful little boy. We were regular Europeans with trips to the Algarve in Portugal and over to visit your granny and granddad in Northern Ireland. You developed your sense for the dramatic when you walked on your first birthday. You loved our holidays in Portugal and Ireland and Italy and developed a love for the live Peter Pan show with the dolphins at the local aquatic park. We got you the Peter Pan video and you nearly wore it out as it was played so often. We moved to Australia before you were 3 and lived in Alexandria in Sydney. Your dad would pick you up from the nursery and you would cycle home on your noddy bike. We spent so much time over in Alexandria Park, the Annette Kellerman swimming pool in Marrickville, and we made trips to Coogee Beach for a swim and an ice cream. You were such a fearless little boy, and we became regular kayakers over at the inner harbour at Manly. The lads there nicknamed you Bluey and used to sneak us into the Manly Aquarium. This was your special time with your dad nearly every Saturday. Your mum got to spend so much time with you when we first moved over to Australia, and you were so loved. Our first holiday in Newcastle and Lake Macquarie over the Easter holidays that year was magical, and then again at the Gold Coast that October. In 2006, our lives all changed with the arrival of your wee brother Joseph. To be honest, at first, we were not sure you were too keen on this new addition to the family, and at one stage barricaded yourself in your bedroom. Slowly but surely, you grew to love your brother so much and treated him so kindly. You so wanted his first word to be Matthew. We would overhear you repeating your name to him for hours. You started school in Sydney in 2007. You were just 4 years old, and we were so proud of how unfazed you were by the whole process. We then moved to Canberra in Easter 2007, and you attended Mawson Primary for the rest of your primary schooling. Mawson was a great school, and you had lots of friends and such wonderful teachers. We remember you reading out the weather report on behalf of the school on the local radio station. You represented the school as a Chinese linguist at Parliament House and met the then Prime Minister, Julia Gillard. She whispered to you that she loved the colour of your hair. Surprise, surprise. We got you signed up for football at Brindabella Football Club, a club you would play for from the ages 6 to 18. And apart from 1 year where you played rugby union for Canberra Royals. Once, when you were about 7 years old, you came off the field and complained to our friend Hosty, who was the co-coach, about a kid kicking everyone. Hosty, in his wisdom, told you not to worry about it and kick him back. As the second half kicked off, you ran over to the naughty boy and kicked him. Only problem was you did not have the football at the time. The young referee requested you stay off the field for the rest of the half. I think that counts as sending off, just like your dad. With your dad as your football coach, both you and your brother started to call your dad by his first name, Tom, like all other kids in the team. We hope you know that your dad was very touched at you calling him by his name and knew it was a sign of how much you both loved him. You were a caring boy and loved animals, particularly your dogs. And when we got little Kaiser, you just fell in love with him, even though Sarah wishes you hadn't chosen the second biggest pup in the litter. We used to walk him up to the top of Mount Taylor with your brother, who would then end up piggybacking you so he could make it up the really steep part of the hill. You were a keen adventurer, camping with your dad and brother, sitting around the fire having a sugary coffee, a camp stew in the evening, bacon and eggs in the morning. We spent many days up at the Cotter campground at Bateman's Bay, Tarthra, Lake Good Hope, Yukonbean, Kyola, Kiama and Coolandoo. We bought kayaks and spent many happy days kayaking down in Jervis Bay. You were such a confident, strong swimmer that you even swam around from the Blenheim Beach to Nelson's Beach with your dad. You always loved visiting your family back in the UK, and your extended family all loved you. And we know that they meant the world to you too. You were so proud of being Scottish and Northern Irish. Your Aunt Lara spent years trying to perfect an brew ice cream recipe. And there was a friendly rivalry between your granny and Aunt Lara on who made the best lunches for you. You had Christmas holidays in 2018 with your aunts and uncles and cousins, Maggie and Andrew, Paul, James, Elizabeth, Tricia and John, Patrick, Monica and Amelia, Bridget and Jack, Mark and Carly, May and Benji, Andrew and Kerry, Connor, Logan and Lewis, Ryan and Carol Ann, Lara and Stuart, your granny and Papa Carney. I should pause at this stage to acknowledge those who are watching online and sharing in this Mass with the family, many of those whose names I will have just read, and their extended family. We also went down to Southampton to stay with Catherine and David, and a day trip up to London to see Hannah and Jack, Alice, David and Christy, and the wonderful Freddie and Clara. All your other cousins, Katie, Michael and Paul, are thinking of you at this time, as is Robert in Spain and Jeanette. You embraced the love of your blended Aussie family, Sarah, your stepmum, your cousin Annabelle, John and Denise, your step-grandparents Tim and Joe, your aunt and uncle. We had so many beautiful moments together at Vincentia, in Bathurst, in Sydney, in Canberra to remember. Sarah loved you so much and always made her best efforts to ensure the house had enough milk, bacon and eggs, white bread, chicken and broccoli, a supply of popcorn, and our weekly meals and shopping lists were planned with you and your brother in mind so we could enjoy our meal times together. You were so resilient in living between the two homes full of love for you and your brother, and you were so welcoming to your stepmum, Sarah. It meant so much to her that you and Joseph would get her Mother's Day present and a card every year. Your mum and I loved you both so much that our arrangements, even though we were no longer together, meant that your dad got to see you 6 days a week and your mum all 7 of them. You cycled to school when attending MacKillop and became so strong. It was at this moment that the local magpie community became your nemesis. And I thank, once again, the MacKillop community for being here, those presently involved with the school and those who have been attached through the school in the years with Matthew. You were so determined when you put your mind to something. With a bad start to year 11, you knew what you had to do to get into the course you wanted at ANU, and exceeded yours, but not our expectations. We are so proud of our clever, clever boys. A meticulous and hard-working student, you had the worst start to university with the COVID outbreak, and restrictions came into place. However, this meant you got to spend more time at home with your beloved Kaiser and Poppy, your dad and mum and your stepmum and brother. In your 3rd year, with several distinctions from year 2 and a minor in mathematics, we could not have been any prouder. You worked so hard in your job at the airport, always happy to stay on after your shift ended, or go in earlier if they were short-handed. You were so thoughtful in giving your young brother Joseph lifts home in your car, popping into the stops or up to Macca's. Tom's got McDonald's, but I know it's Macca's. You referred to him as your dependent, as you were his personal Uber driver. You will always be your mum's wee lad, her darling boy. Your mum worried so much about you stressing over your studies and working too many hours in your job. We know how much you were looking forward to the planned trip in June with your mum and brother Jack, to go back to see your granny and Papa Carney, your Uncle Ryan, your Auntie Lara and Uncle Stuart, and all your dad's family too. You were even prepared to give up your job to undertake this visit. Though you have taken a different journey, we all know you will be always with us, wherever there are those present who loved and cared for you. You applied your scientific approach to your weightlifting and had developed the most beautiful physique. Your dad and your brother were such poor pupils, letting you down in your application and poor form, in our exercises and our commitment. You were a great help lifting the white goods and furniture when we were moving house, and you didn't stop all day. You loved your food, Dad's chicken tikkers and schnitzels, your mum's lasagnas and chilies, your cottage cheese and toast, and your steaks, lamb, pork, and chicken with broccoli. Pause again. There is a photo on the back of the booklet. I'm not sure what beast is there that is sitting on that plate, but it looks like a scene out of the Flintstones. It's a massive hunk of meat there. You were so kind and caring to your dogs, their favourite dog sitter, caring for Kaiser after his stay in the vets and giving him all of his medicines. You watched them both at Christmas time this year to allow the rest of the family to go on holiday. Forever efficient, you moved yours and their beds into the TV room so you could all benefit from the air conditioning. You even made sure they lost a little weight and gave your dad a row for feeding the dogs from the table. Your mum and brother will always remember your Friday movie nights, Sometimes your mum was even allowed to pick the movie. Every minute with you and your brother Joseph was so precious. We know you will be embarrassed by all this fuss, all the people reaching out and whose lives you have touched. You were cherished, loved and respected, and such a humble and modest young man. We are so proud of the young man you became and grieve at you missing out on the wonderful future you were sure to have lived. Oh, son, we are going to miss you every day. Your gentle soul, your thoughtfulness and kindness, your lovely smile. Please look down on us and have us in your care. May your loved ones cherish you in heaven, your Granny McLucky and your Auntie Carol Ann, and all our departed families and friends. We will see you again one day, our son and brother. All our love, our darling boy, Tom, Amanda, Joseph and Sarah. That was just long enough. Thanks, Tommy. I invite you to stand for our opening prayer, please.